You know what's most terrifying about insomnia? Not the exhaustion, not the headaches, not even the hallucinations that start on day 3. The most terrifying thing is the moment you stop being certain you'll wake up. My name is Pavel Sokolov, 32 years old, second grade construction engineer, married, one son, 8 years old. Or was my name? Was married? I no longer know which tense is correct when speaking about myself, about the man I was, before. I'm telling this story only because I must. Someone needs to know, in case they try again. In case somewhere, in some basement, in some classified facility, someone is thinking right now, what if? Don't. I'm begging you. Don't. Moscow, spring 1947. The city was still healing from the war. Ruins interrupted the streets like missing teeth. Women in black, men on wooden crutches, their pant legs pinned where legs should be. But life continued. Factories ran. The country built itself. A great nation, they told us. Invincible. I worked at factory number 47. Defense industry. Classified blueprints, special clearances, passes with photographs sealed in plastic. I designed load-bearing structures for a new production floor. Checked my calculations 3 times. Always 3 times. That was my rule. But rules don't save you when someone needs a scapegoat. The collapse happened on Thursday, March 7th. I remember that day in microscopic detail, though I wish I could scrub it clean. The sound came first. Not a crash, but something deeper. A roar that lived in your chest. Then screaming. Then dust that hung in the air so long it seemed alive, seemed permanent. 3 workers were buried in the wreckage. 3 young men. Each one had a family waiting. They arrested me 2 days later. Didn't let me say goodbye to Maria, to Kolya. Just came at night. 3 men in plain clothes and 1 in NKVD uniform. Black car idling in the street with its engine ticking. Maria stood in our apartment doorway in her nightgown, clutching our terrified son, saying nothing. Just her lips moving. Praying, probably. I didn't believe in God then. Now, I don't know. Don't know if there is a God. But the other thing, the thing that came after, that exists. I know it exists. The trial lasted 40 minutes. Negligence resulting in the death of 3 citizens, the prosecutor read in a voice like machinery. Willful violation of technical standards. Wrecking. Wrecking. That word decided everything. That word transformed an engineering error, if there even was an error, into a political crime. 10 years corrective labor camp. I heard nothing after those words, just ringing. A high whine like tinnitus, but deeper, inside my skull where sound shouldn't exist. 10 years. Kolya would be 18 when I got out, if I got out. He wouldn't remember my face. Maria wouldn't wait. Who waits 10 years? What wife, what love survives that? But 10 years would have been mercy, if they'd sent me to a camp. Instead, 1 week after sentencing, they called me from my cell. 2 guards with submachine guns, faces like concrete, walked me through corridors that went on too long, turned too many corners. I thought, execution. They found something else, some papers, some connection. We went down, deep. Concrete stairs that descended so far my ears popped from pressure. The air grew colder, smelled of dampness and something chemical, medicinal, like a hospital where the sick never leave. Finally, the corridor ended at a massive steel door. A plaque on it read, Object 42, Special Regime, Access by Authorized Pass Only. You go alone from here, one guard muttered and shoved me forward. The door opened with a sound like a bank vault breaking. Beyond the door was a room, not large, 15 meters long, maybe 8 wide. Concrete walls painted that particular nauseating gray-green color Soviet institutions seemed to worship. 4 iron beds along the walls, 1 table in the center, 4 stools, a bucket in the corner, and light. Brilliant, savage light from fixtures recessed in the ceiling. It drove into your eyes like railroad spikes. The bulbs were sealed behind thick metal cages. You couldn't break them, couldn't reach them. 4 men already occupied the room. On the nearest bed sat a thin man, maybe 40, in a wrinkled prison uniform. Intellectual face, frightened, glasses with 1 cracked lens. He twisted the hem of his shirt and studied the floor. 2 others stood by the table, brothers from their faces, Ukrainians, broad-shouldered, wind-burned skin. The older one had gray in his temples. The younger, maybe 25. Both silent but watchful. Wolves backed into corners. In the far corner, back against the wall, the 4th man smoked. Small, wiry, face like a rat. He held the cigarette as if it were his last. Maybe it was. New arrival, the rat-faced man said. Welcome to hell, brother. Sit, plenty of room. I sat on the empty bed. The springs screamed. I'm Gromov, the small man continued, exhaling smoke. Thief. 7 years for stealing state property. These 2 are the Koval brothers, older and younger. Partisans. Fought heroically for the wrong side. He smiled without warmth. And this is our intellectual, Vasily Petrovich, geography teacher. Told children about foreign countries. You understand how that ended. Vasily Petrovich flinched but said nothing. And you? Gromov squinted through smoke. Sokolov, engineer, structural collapse. Impressive. Gromov whistled softly. Serious charges. Wrecker. Almost a spy. I didn't respond. No point. The older Koval finally spoke, voice deep, heavily accented. You know where we are? Why they bring us here? No. We don't know either. But something will happen. Something bad. Something bad. I believed him. Instinctively. Nothing good could exist in these walls. We waited. An hour, maybe 2. Time moved like cold syrup. The light carved into my eyes. I tried lying down, covering my face with my arm, but the merciless brilliance penetrated my eyelids anyway. The room had no windows, no clock, nothing to mark time's passage. Then a click, and a speaker in the ceiling corner came alive. I hadn't noticed it before. Prisoner citizens, a voice said. Male, young, utterly flat. A voice that didn't care. Stand. Face the observation booth. I didn't understand at first. Then I saw it. In the far wall, about 2 meters up, a large window. Thick glass. Behind it, darkness. Silhouettes. 2 or 3 figures. We stood. Me, Gromov, the Koval brothers, Vasily Petrovich. 5 of us. You have been selected for participation in a scientific experiment of strategic importance to the Soviet Union, the voice continued. This experiment will strengthen our motherland's defensive capabilities in the struggle against world imperialism. Gromov laughed once, sharp. Such beautiful words when they want you dead. Silence, the speaker barked. Gromov stopped but kept smirking. The experiment is simple, the voice returned to its bureaucratic monotone. For 30 days, you will not sleep. A specialized gas delivered through the ventilation system will maintain constant wakefulness. Food and water will be provided in sufficient quantities. Your cooperation and discipline will be considered when reviewing your sentences. 30 days. A month without sleep. My heart didn't skip. It stopped. Just stopped, then restarted wrong. Offbeat. The younger Koval lunged forward and screamed, "This is madness! A man cannot go a month without sleep! This will kill us!" "Sit down," the voice replied calmly. "The experiment has already begun. Gas has been flowing since you entered the chamber." Pause. Then I heard it. Hissing. Quiet. Almost subliminal, but once you listen for it, undeniable. Coming from the ventilation grate in the ceiling. A soft whistle of pressurized air, and the smell. Swedish. Chemical. Metallic undertone that scraped the back of your throat and settled on your tongue as bitterness. I swallowed. It tasted wrong, like licking copper. "You will remain under constant observation," the voice continued. "Do not attempt to damage equipment or harm yourselves or others. Violations will result in sanctions." Vasily Petrovich coughed, then rasped, God, what are you doing?" "The experiment is critically important for the nation's future," the voice replied, then added, almost as comfort, "Endure. This serves a great purpose." The speaker clicked dead. The first hours, no one believed. Gromov paced circles, talking to himself, to us, to the walls. Month without sleep. Impossible. Human body can't sustain it. Maximum 1 week. Then the organism shuts down automatically, gas or no gas. Can't override physiology. Right, Sokolov? You're an engineer. You understand science. I nodded, though I wasn't certain. At university, I'd heard about the German experiments, what they did in the camps, to prisoners, the Jews, testing limits, human limits, and those limits proved wider than we thought possible. People can endure more than they should, especially when someone forces them. The older Koval sat on his bed, head in hands, silent. The younger paced frantically, glancing at the ventilation grate as if expecting something besides gas to emerge. Vasily Petrovich pulled a worn book from his pocket, Pushkin, I think, and tried reading. But his hands trembled. The words jumped. I sat and thought about Maria, about Kolya. Did they tell her where they took me? Or just disappeared? 10 years transformed into missing. I wanted to sleep. The desire hit suddenly, though I'd slept the night before, slept normally. But now my eyelids felt leaden, my head too heavy for my neck. Every cell screamed for horizontal rest. I lay on the bed, closed my eyes. Immediately I felt it. Cold. Not temperature, something else. Like ice water poured directly into the base of my skull. I jerked my eyes open. The room was unchanged. Gromov paced. Koval sat. Vasily Petrovich read. But something had shifted. I couldn't identify what. Just a feeling. As if someone stood in the corner behind me. I turned my head. Empty. Only gray wall and light playing across concrete. But the feeling persisted. Grew. "Hey," I called softly to Gromov. "Do you feel anything?" He stopped, looked at me. Feel what? I don't know, like we're not alone? Gromov smiled, but something flickered in his eyes. Beginning already. Gas working. Don't worry, brother. Just chemistry. Mind playing tricks. Yes, probably. Chemistry. But the cold at the base of my skull wouldn't leave. I don't know how much time passed. Without windows, without clocks, time loses architecture. Maybe 4 hours, maybe 8. They brought food. Through a small hatch in the door I hadn't noticed before. Bowls of gruel, bread, cups of water. We ate silently. The gruel tasted of nothing. The bread was stale. I chewed mechanically, my mouth working without sensation. The exhaustion intensified. My eyes wanted to seal shut. My head swam. I lay down again. Again, that presence. Behind me. In the corner. Against the wall. I stood, forced myself to walk. Gromov was right. Can't lie down. Can't close your eyes. Must move. We all started walking, taking turns, circles, counting steps. Gromov measured wall to wall, 23 paces, back and forth. Again, again. The younger Koval began singing, quietly, a Ukrainian song, sad, about steps and wind. The older brother joined. Their voices merged into strange, aching harmony. Then the singing cut off. The younger stopped mid-room, staring at the corner. That corner where I'd felt the presence. "Who's there?" he whispered. "Where?" his brother responded. "There, at the wall. You see?" I looked. The corner was empty. But the shadow in that corner had the wrong shape. Too dense, too dark for this savage light. "Nothing there," Gromov said, but his voice carried no conviction. "Someone's standing." The younger Koval took a step forward. "I see. Someone's standing." "It's the gas." Vasily Petrovich lifted his head from the book. "You understand? It's starting. We'll see things, hear things. Must remember, none of it is real." He spoke with confidence, but his hand shook harder. I approached the corner, extended my hand, touched the wall. Cold. Wet. Why wet? I pulled back and examined my fingers. Dry. What the fuck is happening? "Need to sleep," Gromov muttered. Just need to sleep. 1 hour. Half an hour." "Can't," I said. "The gas won't allow it." "Can try, though." He lay on his bed, closed his eyes, went still. We watched. 1 minute, 2. Then Gromov jerked upright, eyes wide, panic swimming in them. "Can't," he exhaled. "Fuck, I can't." Soon as I close my eyes, like something approaches, closer, closer, and if I don't open them, it'll touch me. I understood, because I felt the same thing. When you close your eyes, they come. The things in corners, the things in shadows, the things standing behind you, waiting. Night came. I knew not from clocks, but from how the exhaustion became unbearable. My body screamed for sleep. Every cell demanded rest. But there was no rest. The light burned. Bright, unblinking, eternal light. The gas hissed. Softly, methodically, second after second after second. And scratching. I heard it first. Quiet. Very quiet. Almost indistinguishable. but once you listened, unmistakable. Scratching inside the walls, as if something behind the concrete scraped with fingernails or claws. Slowly, patiently, trying to get out. "You hear that?" I whispered. Everyone looked up. Gromov listened, then nodded. Yeah, fuck, I hear it." The older Koval crossed himself, quick, furtive, hoping the observers behind glass wouldn't notice. Vasily Petrovich closed his book, gripped it like a shield. The younger Koval stood slowly and approached the wall, pressed his ear against it, listened, then jerked back. "There's something there," his voice trembled. "Below us, in the walls. Many of them. So many." "Rats," Gromov said. "Just rats, fuck. Old building, basement. Of course there's rats." But he didn't sound convinced, because it didn't sound like rats. It sounded like fingers. Hundreds of fingers scratching concrete from inside, and whispering. I would have sworn I heard whispering. Soft, multiple voices, in a language I didn't understand, or not language at all. Behind the observation glass, the silhouette stood motionless, writing things in notebooks. There were 5 of us in the room with eternal light, but in the corners stood more, many more, and they had no intention of leaving. The scratching didn't stop. It became background, constant, like the gas hissing from ventilation, like the hum of ceiling lamps. You try not to notice, but it's there, in the walls, under the floor, above your head. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Methodical, patient. I don't know how much time passed since the experiment began. A day? 2? Time stretched like rubber. Pull and pull, but it never tears. Hours became eternities. Minutes became hours. We stopped talking. Gromov no longer cracked jokes. He sat on his bed, arms wrapped around his head, rocking. Forward, back. Forward, back. Lips moving, muttering something, but no words emerged. The Koval brothers stayed together. The younger lay with eyes closed, not sleeping, couldn't sleep, while the older sat beside him, hand on his shoulder. Protecting. From what? From whom? I didn't know, but I understood the impulse. Wanting to protect someone, something, anything. Vasily Petrovich read, just kept reading his battered Pushkin. Pages rustled. He turned them mechanically, but his eyes didn't track the lines. Just stared at one spot, maybe seeing something there. Something that didn't exist on yellowed paper. I walked, back and forth, wall to wall. 23 paces. Turn. 23 paces back. Counting. Losing count. Starting over. If you stop, you start thinking, and you can't think. Because thoughts here transform into something else. Something alive. Something that watches you from inside your own skull. The headache came on day 2. Not immediately. First, light pressure at the temples. Then dull weight behind the eyes. Then, like someone drilling a corkscrew into your skull. Slowly. Relentlessly. I squeezed my eyes shut, pressing my forehead against cold wall. The concrete felt good against my skin, but the pain didn't retreat. Mine too, the younger Koval whispered. Hurts so much. Everyone's hurts, Gromov muttered. It's the gas. Fucking gas eating our brains. Not the gas. Vasily Petrovich didn't lift his head from the book. Sleep deprivation. The organism demands restoration. The brain begins shutting down functions. First, higher ones. Logic, analysis. Then emotions, control. And then... He fell silent. Then what? I asked. Then only instinct remains. Animal. What sits deep inside, what we call the subconscious. Or, he licked cracked lips, or the soul, if you believe in such things. I don't believe, Gromov said. I believe, the older Koval replied quietly. The soul exists, and right now it's screaming. The soul is screaming. Accurate description. Something inside me was screaming, soundlessly, desperately, like a man buried alive pounding on his coffin lid. They brought food regularly. I understood this from the pattern. Gruel, bread, water at identical intervals, which meant you could count meals instead of hours. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 3 times daily. If this was a day. If days even existed here. But I wasn't hungry. None of us were hungry. We ate because we had to, because otherwise the body would fail ahead of schedule. But there was no taste. No smell either, only texture. Sticky gruel, hard bread, cold water. I tried remembering the taste of Maria's borscht. Thick, red with garlic bread. She made it Sundays. Collier would burn his lips, blow on the spoon, laugh. But memory provided no taste, only image, flat, unreal like an old photograph. Maria, I thought, are you still waiting? Or not anymore? Hey, Sokolov! Gromov snapped his fingers in front of my face. Where do you go? I blinked. Home, I answered honestly. Forget it, he smiled grimly. There is no home, only here. These walls, this light, and... He stopped, staring at the corner. That corner. The shadow there had grown denser, darker, though the light burned just as bright. You see it too? I asked. Gromov nodded slowly. I see it. Know what's worst? I'm getting used to it. Like it was always there, I just never noticed before. I understood what he meant. The shadow in the corner seemed natural, part of the room, not foreign, native, familiar, if that word applied. That frightened me more than the shadow itself. On day 3, if it was day 3, the voices began. At first, I thought it was the speaker. More instructions from the observers behind glass, but the speaker stayed silent. The voices came from somewhere else. From the ventilation, from the walls, from the corners. Whispering. Multiple layers, overlapping like radio interference. I couldn't distinguish words, only intonations. Anxious, pleading, angry. Do you hear that? Vasily Petrovich jerked his head up. We all heard. The younger Koval clamped his hands over his ears. Stop! Please stop! But the voices didn't stop. They grew louder. I approached the wall, pressed my ear against cold concrete, listened, and distinguished words. Help. Cold. Mama. Don't leave. I recoiled like I'd been burned. There are people, I rasped. In the walls. There are people. What people? Gromov jumped up. What are you talking about? I hear them. They're asking for help. Hallucinations. Vasily Petrovich stood, approached the wall, also pressed his ear against it, listened. His face went white. God. Lord Jesus Christ. What's there? The older Koval grabbed his shoulder. What do you hear? Children, the teacher whispered. I hear children. They're crying. Silence. Then the younger Koval howled. Animal sound. Inhuman. He lunged at the wall, started pounding with his fists. Let them out! You hear? Let the children out! Stop him, Gromov shouted. The older brother rushed forward, tried restraining him, but the younger broke free, stronger than he looked. He struck the wall again and again. His knuckles bloomed red. Blood ran down gray concrete, leaving wet trails. I wanted to help, to stop him, but couldn't move. Because I understood. The red trails on the wall. They'd been there before. Old ones, dried. I just hadn't noticed, or didn't want to notice. We're not the first. The realization hit like a sledgehammer. There were others before us, other experiments, other prisoners, and they didn't leave. Light flared in the observation booth. Figures appeared, writing things down. One man in a white coat, the same one who'd spoken the first day, raised a radio to his lips. The speaker crackled alive. Subject number 4, cease destructive behavior immediately. The younger Koval didn't hear, or wouldn't hear. He kept hitting. Blood splashed on the floor. Final warning. Nothing changed. The man in the white coat spoke into his radio. And gas. New gas. Not Swedish. Sharp. Suffocating. Yellowish fog poured from the vents. I coughed. My eyes burned. My nose seared. The younger Koval collapsed to his knees, gasping, clawing at his throat. His brother fell beside him, trying to reach him. Disciplinary gas will cease in 30 seconds, the speaker announced. Maintain order henceforth. 30 seconds lasted forever. I lay on the floor choking, trying not to breathe the poison, but it penetrated anyway. Into lungs, into blood, into brain. Spots swam before my eyes. Red, black, gold. I saw Maria. She stood over me, watching, weeping. You promised, she said. Promised you'd come back. I will come back, I wheezed. We'll come back. Liar. She vanished. The gas cleared. We lay on the floor coughing, crying, gasping. The younger Koval stopped moving. He wasn't dead. I checked his pulse. Weak but present. Breathing shallow. He'd lost consciousness. We dragged him to the bed. The older brother sat beside him, holding his hand, whispering in Ukrainian. A prayer, maybe. The younger Koval's hands were destroyed, skin stripped from knuckles to raw meat. Bones possibly damaged too. He needed a doctor. Bandages. Medicine. No one came. Behind the observation glass, figures still stood, writing, watching, not helping. They won't stop, I realized. Even if we die, they'll just record the results and bring new subjects. Bastards, Gromov hissed. Animals. They're not even human. They're scientists, Vasily Petrovich finished. They're scientists. To them we're material, biological material, like laboratory rats. They'll kill us. The older Koval didn't look away from his brother. All of us, one by one. Maybe he was right. I looked at my hands. They trembled. Fine, nervous tremor. Couldn't stop it. My eyelids felt so heavy I wanted to collapse. Fall. Forget. But my eyes wouldn't close. When you try closing your eyes, They come closer. The shadows in corners, the figures behind you, the whispers in walls. They're waiting, patiently waiting for you to weaken, for boundaries to blur, for you to stop being certain what's real and what isn't. I lost count of time completely. Meals merged. Gruel, bread, water. Gruel, bread, water. Again and again. I ate without remembering if I'd eaten an hour ago or a day ago. The light never changed. Bright, constant, unblinking. It had burned so deep into my retinas that even when I closed my eyes, and I still tried, in short bursts, for seconds at a time, the light remained. Inside my eyelids, inside my skull. I started seeing things. First at the edges of vision, quick movements, shadows darting past. I'd turn my head, nothing. Emptiness. Then directly ahead, figures. Blurred. Faceless. They stood by walls, in corners, sometimes in the middle of the room, motionless, just standing and watching. I knew they weren't real. Hallucinations. A brain deprived of sleep creates images. Physiology, chemistry, science. But knowing didn't help, because they seemed real. More real than the walls themselves, than the beds, than the light. Gromov talked to them. I heard him muttering, sitting on his bed, arms wrapped around his knees. Go away. Please go away. I didn't mean to. It wasn't my fault. I didn't know he was there. Gromov, I called. Who are you talking to? He raised his head, eyes red, pupils huge, black, almost swallowing the iris. The dead man, he answered calmly. He's standing right there, by the door, looking at me. You don't see him? I looked. No one stood by the door, but the cold, ice cold emanating from that spot. I see him, I lied. Gromov nodded. He wants me to confess that I killed him, that it wasn't theft, it was murder. It's a hallucination, I said. You understand? Not real. How do you know? He smiled. Insane smile. How the fuck do you know what's real and what isn't? Maybe they're real, and we're hallucinations. They're hallucinations. I had no answer. Vasily Petrovich stopped reading, just sat staring at one point on the wall, lips moving soundlessly. I moved closer, listened. He was counting. 27, 28, 29, 30. 1, 2, 3. Over and over. To 30, then starting over. Vasily Petrovich. I touched his shoulder. No reaction. He kept counting. 11, 12, 13. I shook him harder. Can you hear me? He slowly turned his head, looked at me, through me. If you count, he whispered, they don't come closer. While you're counting, they stay in place. But if you stop even for a second. Who? I asked, though I knew the answer. The children, he breathed out. From the walls. They came out. They're here. See? He pointed to the corner. I looked and saw. Small figures, blurred. Child silhouettes. 3, 4, 5. They stood in a row against the wall, motionless, watching us, with empty eye sockets. It's not real, I said aloud, to myself, to him, to everyone. Not real. Those children are real, the older Koval stood from his bed. I see them too. They died here, many years ago, and now they want... Want what? Gromov asked. Not to be alone, Koval finished quietly. They want us to stay with them. Not to be alone. They want us to stay with them. I felt something ice-cold constrict in my chest. Because I understood. This wasn't an experiment, not research into human limits. This was sacrifice. We were being fed to the shadows, to what lives in these walls, what cannot leave, what waits, always waits, for new ones, fresh ones, living ones, still living. The younger Koval woke on day 4, opened his eyes, looked at his ruined hands, then at his brother, and wept, quietly, almost soundlessly. Tears ran down his filthy face, leaving clean tracks. "Forgive me," he whispered. "Forgive me, brother. I couldn't." "It's all right," the older brother embraced him. "Everything will be all right." A lie, but a kind lie. Nothing would be all right. Because the scratching in the walls grew louder. Because the voices wouldn't stop. Because the figures in corners became denser, clearer. I saw their faces now, blurred, distorted, but recognizable. People. Ordinary people. Men, women, children. All dead, all remaining here. And among them, 3 workers. Those same ones, from the factory, the ones who died in the collapse. They stood in the far corner, watching me. Not accusing, not angry, just waiting for me to join them. I opened my mouth to scream, but only a rasp emerged from my throat, dry, soundless, because my voice was leaving too, along with sleep, along with sanity, along with hope. Everything leaving. Only this remained: eternal light, gray walls, and shadows that were no longer shadows. Analysis before editing. Problems. Some philosophical exposition feels too articulated for people losing sanity. Yidin yo dainyo, yoi a oye yida. Occasional repetitive structure. Too many inyacha, idi oya io patterns. Maria apparition scene slightly over-explained. Some emotional beats still told rather than shown. Strengthen atmosphere. I stopped distinguishing where reality ended and sleep began. No, not sleep. There was no sleep. Couldn't be. Something else. The space between. A crack in the fabric of the world where consciousness falls when the body refuses to shut down. Day 5, or 6, or 10. Numbers lost meaning. Only one measure of time remained, before and after. Before I understood, and after. Vasily Petrovich stopped counting. He lay on his bed, curled fetal, knees pressed to chest, rocking, forward, back, arms wrapped around his head, fingers clawed into graying hair. Sounds emerged from his throat. Not words, sounds. Animal sounds. Long moans transitioning to high whines, then back to moans. Vasily Petrovich, I crouched beside him. Can you hear me? His eyes were open, wide, but didn't see me. Looked through. There, beyond walls, beyond reality. They enter, he whispered suddenly, voice alien, mechanical. They enter when you close your eyes, through the lids, through thin skin, seeping inside, into the brain. And then you stop being yourself, become them, part of the darkness. It's the gas, I said. Understand? Chemicals. They affect perception. He laughed, high, hysterical. Gas, he repeated. Yes, of course. Gas. That opens doors to places we shouldn't be, where nothing living should be. He fell silent, then slowly turned his head toward me, and I saw his pupils. They pulsed, dilating and constricting, not synchronized. Left and right lived separate lives. Did you see your family? He asked. A lump lodged in my throat. Yes. And they're dead? I didn't answer. They're all dead, he continued. Out there. Everyone we loved. The world ended while we sat here. War. Nuclear war. Everything burned. That's why they keep us here. Why they won't release us. We're the last ones. Last humans on Earth. And the experiment is attempting to understand how to survive without sleep in the new world. The world after. Not true, I said, but my voice shook because I wasn't certain. How could I know what existed up there? Maybe he was right. Maybe months passed. Years. Maybe they forgot us in this bunker. The final experiment of the final scientists of the final nation. Vasily Petrovich laughed again. Doesn't matter. True or not. We won't leave anyway. Because doors only open one direction. Inward. Deeper. To the place where things live that never sleep. Because they were never alive. He turned back to the wall. Started rocking again. Forward, back. Forward, back. I stood. Stepped away. Didn't want to listen, didn't want to think about it, but thoughts came anyway. What if he's right? Gromov stopped eating. When they pushed bowls through the hatch, he didn't even look. Don't want it, he muttered. You have to, I said, otherwise the body fails. Good, he smiled grimly. Let it fail. Faster the better. One way out of here, Sokolov. One fucking way. Don't talk like that. Why not? He turned to me. Face gaunt. Cheeks hollow. Eyes sunk so deep they looked like black pits. You see it. See what's happening. We're not human anymore. We're shells. Empty. And they're filling us. Drop by drop. Bit by bit. Soon nothing of us will remain. Only them. I didn't know what to say, because I felt the same thing. Emptiness inside. Growing. Cold. As if something was sucking out everything living, warm, human from within. And in its place pouring something else. Something ancient. Hungry. I tried. Gromov spoke quieter. Almost whispered. Tried to really sleep. You know what happens? I stayed silent. I fall, but not into darkness. Into light. Bright. Unbearable. And there they are. Crowds. Hundreds. Thousands. All standing. Watching. Opening their mouths. Screaming silently. Or calling. I don't know, but the sound comes later, when I wake, or don't wake, don't know, howling, in my ears, in my head, so loud I want to split my skull open, release it. He stopped, then added, I hear it now, constantly, background, like the gas hissing, only louder, inside. I touched his shoulder. Hold on. 20 days left. Less. We'll endure. Lies. We both knew. 20 days. 20 days without sleep. No one could endure. Humans weren't built for this. But we weren't human anymore. The younger Koval started hitting his head against the wall again. Quietly. Methodically. Not with the fury of the first time. Just doing it. Like work. Impact. Pause. Impact. Pause. His forehead covered with abrasions. Blood crusted in his hair ran down his temples. But he didn't stop. The older brother sat nearby, watching, not trying to stop him anymore. "Why don't you stop him?" I asked. Koval slowly turned to me. In his eyes, emptiness, absolute, like a blind man's. "Why?" he simply answered. "He's not here anymore. His soul left. Body still moves, but he's already with them. Soul left. Body still moves, but he's already with them." I looked at the younger Koval, at his face. It was calm, almost peaceful. Lips moving, whispering something. A song, maybe. Or prayer. Impact. Pause. Impact. The wall at that spot darkened. Wet. Red. "Soon me too," the older Koval added. "I hear them. They're calling. Mama's voice. Papa's. Little sisters. Everyone who died in the war. They say come. It's warm here. Peaceful here. You can sleep here." He smiled. Terrible, childlike smile. "And I'll go. Soon." I stepped back. Didn't want to hear more. Turned around. And saw. Maria stood by the door. That same door they'd brought us through. Heavy steel door that hadn't opened once since. Maria. In that same dress. Blue. The one I loved. She looked at me. Not crying, not accusing. Just watching. "You're not real," I whispered. She nodded. "I know," she answered. "But it doesn't matter anymore. Because you're not real either. Not who you were. You're becoming a shadow, Pavel. Like us. Everyone here. Shadows. Reflections of what was alive." "No." "Yes." She stepped closer. "Look at yourself. Look carefully." I looked at my hands. They were transparent. Not completely. Not fully. But enough to see through skin. Veins, bones, and beyond. Beyond. Light. That same bright, unblinking light burning in the chamber. It shone through me. I screamed, soundlessly, because my voice was gone. Don't know how long I lay on the floor. Came to because someone shook my shoulder. Gromov. His face hung over me, distorted, terrible. "Get up," he rasped. "Get up, fuck. It happened." "What?" I struggled to sit. "Look," he pointed. The younger Koval lay by the wall, motionless, head at a strange angle, neck bent wrong, the way necks shouldn't bend. Dead. The older brother stood nearby, looking down, face stone, dry, no tears. "He went," he said calmly. "Good. Doesn't hurt anymore. Doesn't hurt anymore." I approached, checked pulse out of habit. Nothing. Skin cold. Eyes open, staring at nothing. "Need to tell them," I whispered, "so they remove him." "Fuck that," Gromov muttered. "Let him lie. We'll join him soon anyway." But I approached the observation booth glass. Knocked. Behind glass, figures. As always. They watched. Wrote. "He's dead," I shouted. "You hear? Dead. Remove the body." Silence. "Remove him, you bastards." The man in the white coat raised his radio. Said something. The speaker crackled alive. "Body will be evacuated in 6 hours. Continue the experiment." "What experiment?" I pounded the glass with my fist. "We're dying! Don't you see? We'll all die!" "Continue the experiment." Click. The speaker went silent. I stood, forehead pressed against thick glass, cold, indifferent, and saw my reflection. Face alien, haggard, eyes dead, skin gray as concrete walls. I'm not me anymore, I thought. I'm a shell, empty, and something's filling it. Slowly, inexorably. Behind me, in the reflection, I saw them. Figures. A crowd. They stood behind me. Dense wall. Men, women, children, elderly. All dead. All patiently waiting. I turned around. The chamber was empty. Only us. 4 living and 1 dead. But the sensation of the crowd didn't leave. They're there, beyond the boundary, beyond reality's thin film. And that film was thinning. Each hour, each second without sleep. Soon it would tear. And then boundaries would vanish completely. They removed the younger Koval's body in exactly 6 hours. The door opened. 2 men entered in protective suits, rubber gloves, masks with filters. They didn't look at us, lifted the body, carried it out. Door closed. Clang of the lock. 3 of us remained. The older Koval sat on his brother's empty bed, hands on knees, staring at the wall. "My turn next," he said quietly. "I know." I didn't argue, because I felt it too. One of us would die next. Soon. Very soon. The body wouldn't endure, or the mind, or what remained of the mind. On day 7, if the count was right, the hunger began. Not physical, different. Thirst not for water, not food. Thirst for darkness. Every cell in my body screamed one thing: turn off the light. Give darkness. Just for a second. Just for a moment. But the light burned. Bright. Unbearable. Eternal. I approached the lamps, stood beneath them, looked up, directly into the source. My retinas burned. Tears flowed. But I didn't look away. Maybe if I burn out my eyes, I thought, there'll be darkness. Finally. "Don't," Gromov's voice, from somewhere distant, like through cotton. "Why not?" "Because even the blind see them, maybe even better, with inner sight." I lowered my head, blinked. Red and green spots danced before my eyes, after images of the lamps. "How do you know?" "One of the previous ones." Gromov pointed at the wall, at old red stains. He scratched a message with his fingernails. "See?" I looked closer. Letters, barely visible, crooked, spasmodic. "Don't close your eyes. They're closer than they seem. Light doesn't protect. We're all already dead." I stepped back. "How many were there?" I whispered. "Before us?" Gromov shrugged. "Dozens, hundreds maybe. This underground's old. From the 30s probably. Stalin's time. They did much then, hid much. Underground, where no one sees. And these," I pointed to the corner, at figures now constantly visible. "Who are they?" "Experiments," Vasily Petrovich spoke suddenly. First time in hours. Voice hoarse, broken. "All the experiments. Soviet science admits no defeat. If a method doesn't work, try again. On new subjects. And again. And again. Until victory. Until results." "And what's the result?" I asked. This. He swept his arm around the chamber. You. Us. What we're becoming. The boundary between life and death. Between consciousness and something else. They're searching for a weapon. Soldiers who don't need sleep, don't need food, need nothing human, only purpose and rage. He laughed, madly. And they'll find it, soon, because one of us will survive. One. And whoever survives will become what they seek. Pure function, without human inside. Machine of flesh and hatred. I wanted to say delusional, paranoid, hallucination, but words wouldn't come. Because somewhere deep, in that part of mind still clinging to logic, I understood. He's right. Completely right. The older Koval died on day 8, quietly, without screaming, without struggle, simply lay on his bed, closed his eyes, and didn't open them again. Heart stopped, just surrendered. Tired. Gromov and I checked. Dead. Vasily Petrovich didn't approach. Sat in the corner, arms around knees, rocking, muttering prayers in Latin. Where he learned them, unclear. Maybe he didn't. Maybe just sounds. Imitation. They removed Koval's body in the same 6 hours. 3 of us. Us 3 remained. Me, Gromov, Vasily Petrovich. 3 of 5. How many more days? 2 weeks? 3? I didn't know. Didn't want to know. Because I understood. There's no way out. No one leaves here alive. Not in the sense we understood, alive. I started seeing Kolya. He stood by the wall, small, in a blue shirt, looking at me with big eyes, not speaking, just watching. I approached, extended my hand, touched. Cold, ice cold, burning cold, like dry ice. I jerked my hand back. Kolya smiled, sadly. "Papa," he whispered, "you promised to come back." "I'm here," I said. "Right here." "No," he shook his head. "You left. Long ago. We searched. Mama cried. Then stopped. Said Papa's in heaven. With angels. I didn't believe her. I'm not in heaven. I'm alive." "Really?" He tilted his head. "Then why do I see you? Mama said dead see dead. Living see living. And I see you. So..." He vanished. Dissolved. Like smoke. I stood staring at empty wall. So what? So I'm dead? Or is he? Or both of us? Boundaries erasing. Finally. Irreversibly. I no longer knew where reality ended and delirium began. Maybe all this is delirium. Final flash of dying brain. Maybe I died a week ago and just didn't realize. And everything else, agony. Death throes of consciousness, refusing to let go. Gromov tried breaking the observation booth glass, grabbed a stool, swung, struck with full force. The stool bounced. Glass didn't even crack. He struck again, 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 screaming, cursing, begging, threatening. Behind glass, figures stood motionless, watching, writing. Gromov struck until his arms gave out, then collapsed on the floor, sobbed. Not like a man, wailing, like a child. I approached, sat beside him. We said nothing. Then he whispered, "I'm afraid." Me too. Not of death. I'm afraid of what comes after. If there is after. He pointed to the corner at the figures. They're stuck. Understand? Not alive, but not dead. Between. In this fucking between. And we'll be stuck the same way. Forever. In these walls. In this light. Eternally. I didn't answer, because I feared the same thing. What's worse than death? Infinity in a 4-by-8-meter chamber, with eternal light, and shadows growing more real, more hungry, more close. The speaker crackled alive. The experiment enters critical phase, the flat voice announced. Subjects 1, 3, and 5. Prepare for final stage. What stage? Gromov screamed. What fucking stage? In 30 seconds, lighting will be terminated. For 60 seconds. Silence. Then I whispered. What? Repeat. In 30 seconds, chamber illumination will be shut off for 1 minute. Monitor your reactions. Record sensations. This is critically important for the experiment. No! Vasily Petrovich jumped up. No! Don't turn it off! Don't! They're waiting for darkness. 20 seconds. We looked at each other. In Gromov's eyes, terror. Absolute. Primordial. In Vasily Petrovich's eyes, emptiness. He already knew. Already surrendered. I looked at the corner. Figures stood in dense crowd. Motionless. But I felt it. They're waiting. Anticipating. Darkness is their element. And we will be defenseless there. 10 seconds. I pressed my back against the wall. 5. Gromov grabbed my hand, squeezed, until it hurt. 4. Vasily Petrovich fell to his knees, praying, aloud, hysterically. 3. I closed my eyes, then opened them, sharply. Can't close your eyes. 2. The crowd in the corner moved, slowly. 1 step. Synchronized. 1. The light died. Darkness. Not mere absence of light. Darkness as substance. Dense. Tangible. Alive. It crushed down instantly. Weight. Pressure. Like submersion in black water. Thick. Viscous. I saw nothing. No walls. No floor. No hands before my face. Only void. And sounds. Gromov's breathing. Rapid. Broken. Panicked rasping somewhere left. Vasily Petrovich's prayer. Muttering. Fast. Incoherent. Latin mixed with Russian. Words melting into one prolonged moan. And footsteps. Many footsteps. Bare feet on concrete. Slap. 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 From all directions. Approaching. They're coming, Gromov whispered. Oh God, they're coming. I tried responding. Couldn't. Throat constricted. Breath lodged somewhere in my chest. Footsteps closer. Slap, slap, slap. And smell. Sweetish. Putrid. Smell of death. Old death. The kind that lay in earth for months. Years. Decades. It filled the chamber. Penetrated nose, mouth, lungs. I doubled over. Coughed. Stomach cramped. Vomited. Onto floor. Liquid gruel and bile. Somewhere right. A scream. Short. Cut off. Vasily Petrovich! Vasily Petrovich! I screamed into darkness. Where are you? Silence. Then whispers. Multiple. Voices layering over each other. Male, female, children, elderly, speaking different languages. Russian, Ukrainian, German, Polish, others, unknown. But the meaning was one. Join us. Stay. It's warm here. Peaceful here. Here you can finally sleep. No, I whispered. No, no, no. Something touched my hand. Cold. Wet. Fingers. Foreign fingers gripped my wrist. I jerked. Broke free. Fell. Back onto floor. Crawled backward until hitting wall. The wall was warm. No, not wall. Something soft. Yielding. Living. I turned. Felt with my hands. Fabric. Flesh. Faces. Multiple faces. Fused into concrete. Or growing from it. Mouths open. Eyes closed. Or gouged out. Empty sockets. They moved. Lips working. Whispering. Stay with us. Don't leave. We're so lonely. So long lonely. I recoiled from the wall. Into center of chamber. Where there's nothing. Where it should be empty. But it wasn't empty. They stood there. I felt them. Their presence. Mass of bodies. Air density changed. Like in a crowd. In crush. They surrounded me. All sides. Ring. Dense. Unbroken. And tightening. Slowly. Inexorably. I felt breath on my face. On neck. On arms. Cold breath. Smelling of earth and rot. Gromov! I screamed. Gromov, where are you? Here. Voice very close. Right side. Fuck, I can't see anything. Can't... He stopped. Gromov? Silence. Then laughter. His laughter. But strange. High. Hysterical. I see, he whispered. Now I see. There... God, so many. So many. Hundreds. Thousands. All here. Everyone who died in these walls. All the years. All experiments. All victims. Their... Sound of impact. Dull. Soft. Falling body. Gromov! I crawled on all fours, hands feeling floor. Concrete. Cold. Wet with something sticky. Hit something warm. Body. I felt it. Face. Hair. Gromov. He breathed. Rapidly. Shallowly. Body jerking in convulsions. Hold on. I shook his shoulders. Hold on, fuck. One more minute. Less. They'll turn the light on. But he didn't hear. Eyes. I felt with fingers rolled back. Whites. No pupils. He'd fallen through. Somewhere deeper. Where there's no return. I released him. Stood. Swayed. Vertigo. Strong. Floor sliding away. Or I was falling. Or everything around falling. Arms extended forward, trying to find anything real, solid. Touched something cold. Metal. Bed frame. I grabbed it, held on, like an anchor. Then I heard the voice. Her voice. Pavel. Maria. She stood before me. I couldn't see, but I knew. Pavel, look at me. I can't, I whispered. It's dark. No, you can. Just open your eyes. Real eyes. The ones inside. I don't understand. You're not in the living world anymore, darling. You crossed over. A week ago. Maybe more. Body still breathes, but you're already here. With us. No. Yes. Look. And I saw. Not with eyes. Something else. Inner vision Gromov spoke of. The chamber was full. People. Hundreds of people. They stood in dense rows, filled every centimeter of space, fused into walls, into floor, into ceiling. Men in prison uniforms, women in rags, children, naked, emaciated, with split bellies, with gouged eyes, with flayed skin. All experiments, all victims, all who died here across decades. They looked at me, not maliciously, not frightening, with sadness, understanding, sympathy. Welcome, they whispered in chorus. Now you're one of us. Among them, Maria, Kolya, together. They extended hands. Don't, I backed away. Please, don't. It doesn't hurt here, Maria said. I promise. First moment is frightening, but then only peace. Eternal peace. Kolya nodded, smiled. Papa, come. I'm bored alone. Come play. You're not real, I whispered. Kolya's alive. Home. With Mama. How do you know? The boy tilted his head. You've been here 3 weeks. 3 weeks missing. Maybe Mama decided you won't return. Maybe she couldn't endure. Maybe... Enough! I closed my eyes, squeezed them shut with all strength. It's not real. Hallucinations, gas, sleep deprivation, brain failing, creating images. Not real. Not real. Not... Light flared, sharp, blinding, painful. I screamed, covered face with hands. Eyes burned, tears streamed, blinked, rapidly, trying to adjust. Gradually, contours emerged. Chamber, gray walls, beds, table, empty. No figures, no shadows, no faces in walls. Only us. Me. Gromov on floor. Vasily Petrovich in corner. 3. Living. Still living. Gromov wouldn't come to. Lay on floor, eyes open, staring at ceiling, not blinking, breathing, barely, chest rising and falling. But he wasn't there. I shook him, slapped his face, shouted. Useless. He'd left. As Vasily Petrovich said before, soul gone, body remained. The teacher sat in corner, arms around knees, rocking, lips moving soundlessly, eyes glazed. I approached. Vasily Petrovich, can you hear me? He slowly turned his head, looked, through. 1 minute, he whispered. Only 1 minute. But I lived eternity there. Saw everything. All lives. All deaths. Everyone who was here. I became them. All of them. Simultaneously. I felt myself dying hundreds of times. Different deaths. He stopped, then added, Next time I won't return. Can't. Too good there. Understand? Too quiet. Too peaceful. Here there's light. Pain. Exhaustion. But there's nothing. Finally, nothing. Don't give up. I grabbed his shoulders. Hear me? Don't give up. We'll survive. Must survive. He laughed. Quietly. Sadly. Why? To become what they want? Weapon without soul? Function without human? No, Pavel. Better to die here, while still human. He pulled free, turned to wall. I stood, watched his back, trembling shoulders, understanding. He was right. Maybe they were all right. Maybe resistance was meaningless. Maybe the only victory here was dying, while you can, while choice still exists. The speaker crackled again. Subject 3 demonstrates catatonia. Subject 5 shows active denial phase. Subject 1 maintains residual functionality. Experiment continues. Stop! I screamed toward the glass. Stop! Stop this! We're dying! We'll all die! Experiment objective. Determine limits of human endurance under complete sleep deprivation. Lethal outcome of partial subjects is anticipated result. Result? We're people. Living people. You are prisoners, criminals, enemies of the people. Your lives belong to the state, used for science's benefit, for the future's benefit. What future? I pounded fists on glass. There is no future, only death. Death and madness. Calm yourself, Subject 1. Aggressive behavior will be suppressed with disciplinary gas. I froze, stared at my reflection in thick glass. The man in reflection was alien, emaciated, filthy, hair wild, beard grown, eyes deep sunken, mad eyes. Is that me? I became this? Behind reflection, in glass depth, they were visible. Figures in white coats, in military uniform. People. Ordinary people, with families, children, dreams. They did this. Consciously, coldly. Writing, observing, killing slowly, methodically, scientifically, and sleeping peacefully at night. Because they did it for good. Great purpose. Great nation. You're the monsters, I whispered. Not us. You. The man in white coat wrote something in his notebook. Didn't respond. I don't know how much time passed after that. Count lost completely. Maybe a day. Maybe a week. Vasily Petrovich died quietly. Simply closed his eyes and stopped breathing. Sitting in corner, smile on his lips. Calm. Peaceful. He went there, to them, voluntarily. Gromov died next. Body surrendered, heart stopped. He never regained consciousness. Lay on floor, staring at ceiling with empty eyes until he stopped breathing. They removed the bodies. I remained alone. Alone in 4x8 meter chamber, with eternal light, with gas hissing, with scratching in walls, and with them. They no longer hid, stood openly, everywhere, by walls, in corners, middle of chamber. Maria, Kolya, 3 workers from factory, Koval brothers, Gromov, Vasily Petrovich. Everyone I knew, everyone who died. They watched me, waited, patiently waited. I walked among them, back and forth. 23 steps, turn, 23 steps back, counting, aloud, loudly. 1, 2, 3, 4. While you count, they don't approach. Old rule. Vasily Petrovich taught. 15, 16, 17. But my voice failing. Rasp. Whisper. Lips cracked. Tongue swollen. 21, 22. I stumbled. Fell. Didn't rise. No strength. Lay on cold concrete, cheek on floor, looking at feet. Someone's feet. Bare. Pale. Standing centimeter from my face. I raised my gaze. Kolya, looking down. At me. Extending hand. Papa, come. You're in pain. It won't hurt there, I promise. Kolya, I rasped. Sorry. I didn't want to. Didn't want to leave. Sorry. I know, Papa. I'm not angry. No one's angry. Just come. Please. His hand. Small. Cold. Waiting. Just extend hand. Touch. And it would end. Finally end. I closed my eyes. Forgive me, Maria. I couldn't. Didn't endure. Extended hand. Touched. Cold, burned. Like flame. Like acid. I screamed, jerked, pushed away, crawled to wall, pressed back against it, trembling all over. No, I whispered. Not like this. Won't surrender. Not here. Not to them. Kolya stood, watching, sadly, understanding. You can't, Papa. No one can. Everyone breaks, sooner or later. I won't break. Already broken. Just haven't realized yet. He vanished. All vanished. Only me remained. Alone. In empty chamber. Gray walls. Eternal light. And gas hissing that now sounded like laughter. Mocking. Triumphant laughter. The speaker came alive one final time. Subject 1. Congratulations. You survived. 30 days complete. Experiment concluded. I didn't believe at first. 30 days. Month. Passed. I survived. Alone. Of 5. In 10 minutes, door will open. You will be evacuated to medical block. Sentence reviewed. You are free. Free. Word without meaning. Empty. Abstract. I felt no joy. Relief. Nothing. Only emptiness. Cold. All-consuming. I stood. Swayed. Legs wouldn't obey. Held wall. Looked at door. Heavy steel door. That would now open, and I'd exit. To freedom. To light. To life. But something was wrong. Something deep in consciousness screamed. Warned. Don't believe. It's a trap. Another trap. I looked at my hands. They were transparent. Almost. Light passed through. Bones visible. Veins. And beyond. Emptiness inside. I touched my face. Ran fingers across it. Skin cold. Waxy. Alien. I didn't survive, I understood. I died. Somewhere along the way. Maybe a week ago. Maybe first day. Died, but didn't realize. And all this is after death. Agony, or something worse. Door began opening, slowly. Metal screech, clang of locks. Beyond door, light, bright, white, and figures. Silhouettes in white coats, extending hands, calling, voices familiar. Maria, Kolya, Mother, father, everyone I loved, everyone I lost. Pavel, come here. We waited, so long waited. Finally, you're with us. I stepped toward door, stopped at threshold, looked back, into chamber. Gray walls, eternal light, empty beds. Home. This became home in 30 days. Only thing that was real. And there, beyond door, unknown. Maybe paradise, maybe hell, maybe just continuation. Endless continuation of this same thing, in different walls, under different light. I made choice, stepped, across threshold, into white light, and door slammed behind me, with final, absolute clang. White light dissolved. I stood in corridor, long, concrete, lamps on ceiling, same brightness, same unblinking glare. Nothing changed, only different walls. Corridor instead of chamber, but light identical, gas identical, smell sweetish, metallic, identical. I turned around. Behind me, door, steel, closed. Plaque read, Chamber number 7, experiment complete. Number 7, which meant others existed. 6 before me, maybe more after. Corridor stretched both directions, left, right, identical, infinite. Doors lined walls, one after another, dozens of doors, each with number, status. Chamber number 4, experiment in progress. Chamber number 9, experiment in progress. Chamber number 12, subjects liquidated. Liquidated. All dead. All 5, or 10, however many there were. I leaned against wall, legs failing, breathing hard. Air wouldn't enter lungs, like breathing through cotton. Where am I? What is this place? Footsteps echoed down corridor, precise, measured. Someone approaching. I straightened, peered. Silhouette. End of corridor. Coming closer. White coat. Clipboard. Glasses. Man. Maybe 50. Gray temples. Face tired. Intellectual. He reached me. Stopped. Looked at me. Carefully. Studying. Subject 1, he said. Voice calm. Almost gentle. Pavel Dmitrievich Sokolov, 32 years old. Survivor. I stayed silent. Congratulations, he nodded. You demonstrate exceptional psychological resilience. Only one from your group. Rare result. What was that? I rasped. He tilted his head. Experiment, as explained. Study of human endurance limits under complete sleep deprivation. Critically important information for... Don't, I interrupted. Don't give me that lie. What was it really? He paused, then smiled. Strange, sad smile. You're right. Lies. Everything lies. Even I don't know full truth. They give me tasks. I execute them, record results, send upward. What they do with data? He shrugged. Not my business. People died. I stepped toward him. 4 died in agony. Madness. And you wrote, observed, like a scientist, he finished calmly. Yes, exactly that. Because if not me, another. If not here, another bunker. The system won't stop. It's bigger than any individual. He paused, looked at clipboard. But you survived. That matters. Means it's possible. Humans can endure 30 days without sleep. Limits wider than we thought. I didn't survive, I whispered. He looked up. Pardon? I didn't survive. I died. There, in chamber. Don't know when, but died. What stands before you? It's not me. Shell. Empty. He watched long, then wrote something on clipboard. Interesting. Depersonalization. Sensation of existence unreality. Common symptom after such experiments. Passes, usually, with time. Won't pass, I shook my head. Because it's truth. I saw, there, in darkness, when light died. I saw them all the dead. They were waiting, still waiting, and I'm one of them now. The man in white coat sighed. Pavel Dmitrievich, you're free. Sentence reviewed. You'll be transported to rehabilitation center. Treatment. Return to normal life. To family. To work. Everything will be fine. He extended hand, indicated direction. Go. Down corridor. At the end, elevator. It will take you up. They're waiting. I looked there. Corridor stretched into distance. Endless. Bright. White. What if I don't go? He shrugged. Then you stay here, in corridor, forever. Your choice. He turned, walked back. Echo of steps fading into silence. I remained alone. I walked the corridor long. Steps echoed, measured, monotonous. Lamps drifted overhead, one after another. Doors flickered past. Chambers. Dozens of chambers. Hundreds. I stopped sometimes, listened. Sounds. Through thick doors. Muffled, but distinguishable. Screams. Weeping. Muttering. Prayers. Howling. Behind each door, people. Prisoners. Subjects. Dying slowly, methodically, scientifically. I pressed palm to one door. Cold steel. Felt vibration. Someone pounding. From other side. Trying to exit. Can't. Never will. I continued. Elevator waited at corridor's end. Old. Grated doors. Small cabin. Room for 2 maximum. I entered. Pulled lever. Mechanism groaned. Rusted. Elevator jerked. Ascended. Slowly. Very slowly. Levels passed. Floors. Underground floors. On each, corridors. Doors. Chambers. How many people here? How many experiments running simultaneously? Dozens. Hundreds. All underground, where no one sees, hears, knows. Elevator stopped. Door opened. I expected street, sky, fresh air, but emerged into hall. Large, round, concrete walls, high ceiling, lamps, same brightness, hung on chains. Center, table, long, chairs around it. On chairs, people, men, women, white coats, military uniforms, civilian dress, all watching me. I stopped. Didn't understand. Pavel Dmitrievich Sokolov, said man at table's head. General. Stars on epaulets. Face stone. Eyes cold. Sit down. Indicated empty chair at table's end. I didn't move. What is this? I asked. Where am I? Meeting, the general answered. We're discussing experiment results. Your presence is desirable. I'm free. That's what they said. Sentence reviewed. Yes, formally. But before you leave, we need to discuss something. Sit, please. Last word didn't sound like request, like order. I sat. Chair cold, hard. General nodded. Woman to his right, scientist by appearance, opened folder, retrieved papers, spread on table. Subject 1, she began monotonously. Pavel Sokolov, only survivor from Group 7. Demonstrates resistance to psychological pressure, low pain threshold, high adaptability. Hallucinations present but controllable. Physical condition, critical but stable. She raised gaze. Ideal candidate for Phase 2. Silence. Then I whispered, "What?" Phase 2, the general repeated. Experiment isn't finished, Pavel Dmitrievich. Phase 1, 30 days without sleep, was only preparation. Winnowing. 90% don't endure. Die. Go mad. But 10% survive. Like you. He stood, paced tall, hands behind back. That 10% interests us, because they changed. Cellular level, brain restructured, perception boundaries expanded. They see what they shouldn't, hear, feel, became different. He stopped, looked at me. You saw them, correct? The dead, in chamber. I didn't answer. You did, the general nodded. All survivors see. It's not hallucination, it's, call it expanded perception. You glimpsed beyond boundary, saw what's there, on life's other side. He returned to table, sat. Phase 2, learning to control this, use it, make you into tool, new type soldier, who doesn't sleep, doesn't fear, sees enemies hidden from ordinary eyes, senses threats before they manifest. I looked at him, then at others around table. They nodded, approvingly, interestedly. You're insane, I whispered. We're scientists, the woman answered calmly, and soldiers, doing what's necessary for Motherland's defense, for victory in coming war. What war? Cold, the general smiled. For now. But it could turn hot any moment. Then we'll need advantages. Any advantages. I stood, sharply. Chair crashed. No. Pardon? No. I won't agree. Free means free. I'm leaving. Home. To family. The general sighed, heavily, wearily. Pavel Dmitrievich, you don't understand. You're not on living lists. Officially, you died 3 weeks ago, in chamber, from heart failure, buried in mass grave, documents destroyed. Family received notification. Pause. I couldn't breathe. What? All survivors go through this. Old identity liquidated. New one created. You're no longer Pavel Sokolov. You're Subject 1-7. Belong to state, to science, to experiment. He stood, approached closer. There's no choice. Either Phase 2, or... He didn't finish, but I understood. Or real death. I ran. Didn't think. Instinctively, bolted toward exit, door at hall's end. Shouts behind, pounding feet. I flew, not feeling body, not feeling pain. Through door open, corridor, different, same endless. Ran, turned, random, stairs, up, another door. Threw it open, and froze. I stood in chamber, that same one, 4 by 8 meters, gray walls, beds, table, eternal light. No, impossible. I exited, through different door, ran down corridor, turned, another door, chamber, same one, again and again. Every door led to same chamber, same walls, same light. I ran frantically, opened doors, dozens of doors, all identical, all led there, to chamber. I stopped mid-corridor, fell to knees, screamed, long, until voice tore. Then I heard it. Laughter. Quiet. Multiple. Echo through corridors. They were laughing. Everyone. Scientists, generals, dead, living, laughing at me. Because I understood. I never left the chamber. All this, elevator, hall, corridors, hallucination. Another. Final. I'm still there. In chamber. Lying on floor. Dying. Slowly. Agonizingly. And brain creates illusion. Escape. Freedom. Hope. To prolong agony. So death won't be merciful. I opened my eyes. Lay on floor. Chamber. Same one. Light burned. Unblinking. Eternal. Nearby, bodies. Gromov, Vasily Petrovich, Koval brothers. All dead. Me too. Just haven't fully realized yet. I rose, with difficulty. Looked at hands. Transparent. Almost invisible. Light through flesh. Bones like shadows. Looked at wall. Faces. Dozens of faces. Fused into concrete. Watching me. Waiting. Soon I'll join. Become part of wall. Part of this place. Forever. But then door opened. Real door. People entered. In protective suits. Lifted me. Carried me. I didn't resist. No strength. Corridor. Elevator. Another corridor. Room. White. Clean. Bed. IV drip. They laid me down. Connected tubes. Doctor. Masked. Shined light in eyes. Will he survive? The general's voice. Somewhere aside. Yes, doctor answered. Strong. Rare to get these. Good. Prepare for phase 2. Begin in 1 week. Footsteps. Receding. I closed my eyes. 3 years passed. I sat in small apartment, somewhere on Moscow's outskirts. New identity, new name, new life. Documents, job, everything clean, legal. I became someone else. Phase 2 lasted 1 year. They taught, trained, broke and reassembled, transformed me into what they wanted. Tool, function. Then released, into world, with assignments, arriving monthly. Envelope under door. Address, name, target. I execute, without asking why. Because there's no choice. Because I'm no longer human. I sleep 2 hours per day. No more. Can't sleep more. Because when I sleep, I see them. Everyone. Who died in chamber. Who died by my hands after. They stand, watch, wait, for when I'll finally join completely. This morning, I found envelope under door, opened it. Inside, photograph, address, instructions. Looked at photo, and heart stopped. Maria, my Maria. She's alive. Aged, gray hair, tired face, but her. Address, our old home, where we lived before arrest. Instructions, liquidate, knows too much, security threat. I sat long, stared at photo, at face of woman I loved, betrayed, lost. Now I must kill her. Last thing remaining from previous life. I came to building that evening, stood opposite, in shadows, watched windows. Light burned. 3rd floor, our old apartment. Silhouette behind curtains. Woman, making dinner. Like before, like always. I imagined going up. Ringing bell. She opens. Doesn't recognize. Different face. Different name. Different me. Enter. Do what's ordered. Quick. Painless. Professional. Leave. Done. Simple. Clean. Efficient. But I stood. Didn't move. Because I understood. This is final test. Final verification. If I do it, become finally what they wanted. Machine without soul, without past, without human inside. If I don't, they kill me. Choice. First real choice in 3 years. I drew knife, the one they gave, sharp, reliable. Looked at blade, reflection, alien face, empty eyes. Then looked at window, at silhouette behind curtain, and made choice. I climbed stairs, slowly, step by step. 3rd floor, our door. Old, worn. Stood, listened. Inside, silence. No. Quiet music. Radio. Song. Old. Pre-war. Maria loved this song. I raised hand. Knocked. Footsteps. Approaching. Who's there? Voice. Her voice. Aged. Hoarse. But hers. Open, I said. Please. Pause. Lock clicked. Door opened. She stood in doorway, looking, not recognizing, of course. Yes? She asked cautiously. I looked, couldn't speak. Lump in throat. Face. Dear. Familiar. Strange. Time changed, but eyes, same. Kind. Tired. What do you want? She repeated. I opened mouth and said, Masha, it's me. She frowned. You're mistaken. I don't know you. You do. Stepped closer. Just don't recognize. Pavel. I'm Pavel. Her face changed. Paled. Eyes widened. No, she whispered. No. Pavel died. 3 years ago. In prison. They told me. Buried. I was at grave. Empty, I said. Grave's empty. I'm not there. I'm here. Alive. She stepped back, hand trembling on doorknob. Who are you? What do you want? To warn. They'll come. For you. Soon. Because you know. About my arrest. About what happened. Your witness. Dangerous witness. I don't know anything, she screamed. Nothing. Leave me alone. Go away. Masha. Go away. She slammed door. Lock clicked. I stood, staring at closed door, then drew knife, looked at blade, and dropped it. On floor, by threshold. Turned, walked down. They found me 1 week later. I didn't hide, didn't run, waited. Came at night. 3. Plain clothes, armed. I sat by window, watching street, lights, people, life I no longer belong to. Pavel Dmitrievich, one said, you didn't complete assignment. I know. You understand consequences? Yes. He nodded, drew pistol, aimed. I closed eyes and saw them. Everyone. Gromov, Vasily Petrovich, Koval, Maria, Kolya. They stood, extended hands. Finally, they whispered. Finally. Gunshot. Observer Report number 23. State Security Captain Petrov, VM. Subject 17, former Sokolov PD, liquidated for insubordination. Experiment deemed partially successful. Conclusions. Psychological conditioning insufficient for complete suppression of human factor. Recommendation: increase Phase 2 duration. Employ deeper reprogramming methods. New subject group, number 14, placed in chambers. Experiment continues. You know what's most terrifying? Not death, not torture, not madness. Most terrifying is they won't stop. Right now, this moment, somewhere underground, in concrete chambers, under eternal light, people sit, not sleeping, can't sleep, and boundaries thin, slowly, inexorably. Soon, they'll see what I saw, become what I became, or die, and join those in walls, those who wait, eternally wait, for new ones. If you're listening to this, if you reached the end, remember, never, never agreed to experiments, to voluntary trials, to sentence reduction for participation. It's a trap. They're searching, constantly searching. New subjects, new material, for experiments that shouldn't exist, in places not on maps, underground, where no one will hear, where they can do anything, absolutely anything, in science's name, in nation's name, in future's name that will never arrive. Because future builds on bones, on madness, on those who never sleep. Because they can't anymore. Because boundary erased. And they're not living, but not dead. Between. Forever between. I still hear it. Whisper in walls. Scratching behind me. Footsteps in empty corridors. Because chamber is everywhere. Light is eternal. and they're always near, waiting. For when you close your eyes, just for an instant, just for a second, and then you'll understand. Sleep isn't rest. Sleep is door to places we shouldn't be, where things live that never slept, because they were never alive. And now close your eyes. Try. I'll wait.